Hello, my name is Carlos Emiliano León Aguilar, and this video is going to be my first partial evaluation video, which is going to be based on the book The Age of Spiritual Machines, written by Raymond Kurzweil. So, in order to do this video, I previously read the book The Age of Spiritual Machines, and I also did some research into the author in order to understand a little bit better the book and the author. So prior to reading the book, I've never heard about neither the book or the author or his work before. So I did some research about Raymond Kurzweil, and according to what I found and what I learned, well, first of all, he is described as one of the world's leading inventors, thinkers, and futurists with a 30-year track record of accurate predictions. So, what I understand is that he is a technological inventor, he is an artificial intelligence technology developer, and he has also written two best-selling books, which are The Singularity is Near and The Age of Spiritual Machines, which is the book that I'm going to talk about in this video. So, something that I found really interesting about this author is his predictions. So he's done several predictions about the future and how, like technological advances will change the way of living of humanity in the future and stuff like that. So even in this book, he does several predictions into the future. And it was really interesting for me to learn and, like read, which I will eventually explain in this video. But some of these predictions have been accurate, and it was really crazy for me to understand that this book, The Age of Spiritual Machines, was written in 1999, which is the year that I was born. And since then, he has done several predictions about the future, and some of these predictions, which have already happened, have been accurate. So it was really crazy for me to understand that this book was written in 1999, which is the same year that I was born. And I've been like a witness of these technological advances that he has talked. So this video is going to be a little bit different from the videos that I've done before, mainly because this time the book was a little bit more difficult for me to fully understand it. It was kind of challenging and hard for me to read it and fully understand all of the information that the book talks about. So this video is going to be divided into three main parts, mainly because the book is divided into three parts, and it was easier for me to do a video for each part as I finished reading the parts of the book. So it's also important for me to say that I'm not going to try to do like a summary of this book. I'm going to try to explain the things that I learned, the things that were more interesting for me about the book, and also the things that went through my mind as I was reading the book. So I'm going to start by talking and explaining about the first part of this book. Well, hello. So this is going to be about the first part of the book, which is called Proving the Past. So I have my notes here with me, and I just finished reading this part of the book, but I really have to say that I don't know if all of the book is going to be the same, but for me it was quite a challenge to read and completely or fully understand it. Also because it was in English, it was more of a challenge. It was a little bit difficult for me to understand every concept and example, especially because the author uses a lot of mathematical reference and stuff to explain the things that he talks about in the book. So I guess that I'm not as used to these topics as other people may be, and I may not have like a lot of knowledge about these things. So it was quite difficult for me to understand. So what I'm going to do is that instead of doing like a summary of this part, I want to talk more about like the things that or the knowledge that I acquired by reading this part of the book, and the things that I thought as I was reading the book. So, as I said, this part is the first part. It's called Proving the Past, and it was more of an intro to the book, I guess. So it starts talking about the creation of the universe, and he uses this as an example in order to explain time. So he says that time is relative, and he explains that, for example, time may be different for me than for other people because of many reasons, but there's also like perspective and stuff. So which is relative. like time is a relative thing. And he also talks about time in order to explain the evolution, like for example, he says that humans have had like an evolution in a certain period of time, but technology has like a different process of evolution. For example, our process of evolution is slower in comparison to technology. Um, and he says that technology has like an exponential evolution, which is, for example, an exponential growth would be like, for example, a cell in which you have a cell, and this cell will multiply and then multiply and then multiply, and in a certain period of time you have like this exponential growth. So he starts talking that, in a way, these tools are like going to evolve more in the future and the upcoming years. And he also in a way explains, or at least this is what I understand, is that we have had like this slower evolution, and since we had like technological advances, our evolution process in humans have changed. Maybe not like our evolution as humans, but it was more of an evolution about the way of living. For example, we have had like been living in a way for many years, and since we have had like these tools, like technological tools, we have changed a lot, and dramatically the way of living of humanity because of these tools. He also explains that humans have tools, and he explains that there are other animals in our world that use tools, but the difference is that with our tools we acquire knowledge, and we have like a record of this knowledge, and we as humans evolve, and our tools as well evolve and keep evolving. And that, in comparison to animals, they don't have like this knowledge record, which they don't have like this evolution of their own tools and stuff. So in a way, this is like he explains that technology is going to be inevitable, and it will have like an exponential growth in the upcoming years. For in order to live as the way we live today, we need our tools. Like humans depend on the tools or the technology that we have right now in order to have like our lifestyle or way of living as we do today. As I was reading this, I also, I thought about, for example, my grandparents and my parents, that they were like witness of this evolution process of technology, in which when they were kids, maybe their lifestyle was like a lot different, and with the, as all of these technological advances appeared, the process or like the lifestyle of the people changed. I also, for example, I have like an example in which my parents always tell me that when they were like my age, they went started in Canada. For them, it was really weird that everyone that they knew a lot about the internet and about Google and stuff. So they were like really shocked and surprised. And when they came back to Mexico, people weren't like as involved as people in Canada were in using these tools. So this is like I think this is like an example of how we depend on these tools, and by using these tools we create like a different way of living. He also explains he explains time also with like a law, which I really couldn't like completely understand. It's about order and chaos, and I think with more chaos the time may be slower, as with order the time may be faster. So maybe to explain that, maybe for example with this process of slow evolution of humanity, maybe there was more of a chaos, that's why this process may be like slower. But when we have more of an order, then the time starts being more like faster. I mean, it was quite difficult for me to fully understand it, but I guess that's the general definition of this law. He also says that, for example, with this evolution, we have had like a lot of innovations. He does certain comparisons with technological advances and our brain and our DNA and stuff. And he says that in the future, they may be like, for example, computers that can do the same as one person does, even like a whole group of people, and eventually like the whole world. So this is kind of crazy for me to understand, but I really do think that with this exponential growth of technology, we may have like a lot of technological advances in the future. As I've also been in a way witness of this evolution process in which when I was younger things were different as right now. So I don't know. I guess that I don't really know if these technological advances could be like something good or bad. I think it depends. We can use them as tools, but I think a lot of people can use, depending on the technological advances that we have in the upcoming years. I think that this is also kind of risky. If you have like certain tools in hands, in the wrong hands, they can use it in a really bad ways, as we have seen a lot, for example, with Bitcoin, in which with all of this drug selling and stuff. It's just like a simple example in which by having these more access to these tools, people may use them as they wish in so many different ways. So he explains that machines and he starts talking about certain, like for example, technological advances that will be in the future. But in general, he just starts this chapter. It's more, or this part of the book is more about about technology. And guess this was more of an intro into explaining that we do depend on technology in order to live as the way we do today, and there will be a lot of more technology to come in the upcoming years. And I guess we also have to see about the ethics of people, how to use them and stuff. And I guess that we have, it was interesting for me to read this, because I realized that we are indeed like starting, or I feel like right now I'm being more conscious about all of these technological advances. So I feel like we are starting like a new age, or of for humans. And according to him, in the future there will be a lot of technology that will, I don't know, will change completely the way of how humans live. Hello. So this part of the video is going to be focused on the second part of the book, which is called Preparing the Present. And I hope it's not as long as the first part of this video. But I finished reading this part today, and I found it a lot more interesting and enjoyable than the first part of the book, mainly because I feel like the first part was more of an intro or an explanation into these topics, and this second part of the book was more of the application of the technological advances into the present. And also I just found out that this was written in 1999, which to me really crazy, because in a way he does like predictions into the future. So this was really fascinating for me to learn. But in this part, as I said, he talks about the applications of technological advances into the present, and he says that, for example, we are able to create like brains, or replicate brains at least. What I understand is that you create a way like map a brain, and you can replicate it like into a machine or like a computer. And for example, he says that there are certain computers that are more like intelligent than a human brain. When as I was reading the book, I was, like doubting this, because I was like, how could a computer or a machine that we humans create may be more complex than a human brain? But I guess it's not about intelligence. I understand it's more about capacity, because he says that, for example, our human brain can do like certain amount of calculations, in comparison to computers that are able or have the capacity to do more calculations than a human brain. So as I said, it's not about intelligence, it's more about capacity. For example, this computer that I have here right now, because I'm studying architecture, I selected this computer because in a way it's more capable into doing certain stuff, into like doing multitasking stuff and using certain programs that other computers can't. So I feel like this is an example of capacity and evolution of the technology that it, with this all of this innovation, we start creating like more intelligent technology. We In this part he also explains that, for example, we can in a way replace the human body. So what I understand is that in the future people may be able to do like an artificial human body, because we are able to replicate a human brain. You can in a way put this human brain into a body. I really couldn't understand it, but I felt it more as a fictional thing. But I also, when I was younger, I used to like a lot about. I used to like a lot genetic engineering. So I feel that in a way this can be like a thing that can happen. Probably in the future, yes. I don't know if that would happen in the present, but definitely people. I think people may be trying to do things like this because we have right now a lot of technological advances that we don't even know completely. So I guess this is like a possibility. He also explains that, for example, nanotechnology has in a way like a danger or a risk because you can use it in order to create stuff, but you can also use it in order to destroy stuff. Like, for example, destructive technology, for example, bombs or nuclear bombs and stuff like that. So technology has always like risks. You can have like advantages or disadvantages, but I guess it all depends on the ethics of the people and the use that you give to the technology and tools. Well, he talks about computers, like nanocomputers. um, you can have like quick answers into nano computers, and you can find now computers in a lot of different shape and forms. Like, for example, you don't only have like this type of computer, which is a laptop, but you also have computers on your cell phones and smartwatches and stuff, and they are really capable of doing things. I don't know if they're, for example, as I said before, more capable than doing the amount of calculations that a human brain, but they are definitely more and more capable. And for example, like the new smartphones that they keep coming more and more every year, so they all have like this evolution process in which they include different stuff, and like the software and all of these things are in place for more modern and more capable new technologies. It also he also talks about the DNA. So I didn't quite understood this, but I guess that the DNA has more of a like a slower evolution process. That if you have like a DNA with technological interference, you can generate like a more rapidly like evolution process, because now you are interfering and you are like creating or modifying DNA, something like that. So it was really interesting because in this part he talks about the all of these applications that will happen in the future, or that in a way this can happen right now. And I just started thinking like about like we have, or we are just so used to having all of this technology that as it's not like as surprising as it may be in the past. For example, now Alexa, which in a way Alexa learns by repeating certain things. Alexa learns by repeating things, for example, and then she learns like our patterns and our likes and dislikes, and technology starts to become more and more intelligent by itself. But for example, for me, this could be like a common thing in comparison to an elder person, which may be more like a huge thing because he or she wasn't like used to this type of technology as growing up. And right now we have all of this technology, and we are so used to people are born into this technology that we don't really get to think about all of this process, and we are just like in a way are waiting for the new iPhone or for the new smartphone, or for the new technological advance to appear. So this was really interesting. I don't know. He explains that right now we live like in a historic moment in which technology is like inevitable. So it's more about the focus that we give to technology. As I said, it always has like risk. Everything in life, I guess, has their own risks. But as I said, it's just about the focus that you give to technology, the use that you give to technology. So the third part of the book is called To Face the Future, and I think for me this part of the book was the most interesting and fascinating part. I think this part was like my favorite part, mainly because it was like lighter and easier for me to understand it, even though I couldn't like understood like completely every concept and thing that he explains and talks about, but it was a lot easier than the other parts of the book, and it was more of a like a fiction story in which I was kind of daydreaming. Like I felt like a child when you are a kid and you start like imagining like things that will happen in the future and all of these technological advances and like lifestyles and stuff, which to me was really crazy, because in this part of the book he starts like explaining and talking about future predictions regarding technological advances and how all of these technological advances will eventually change the way of living in the future and stuff like that. So as I said before in this video, this book was written in 1999, which to me was really crazy and shocking for me as I read the book, to read all of these predictions and understand that a lot of these predictions like actually happened, and even if they like didn't fully happen, they in a way weren't like as far away from reality. So it was really crazy because like I started thinking about like the amount of knowledge about technology or the amount of research that he must have done, or I don't know how he did it, but he did a lot of these predictions that were very accurate, and I was really surprised and shocked with that. So in this part of the book he starts doing like these predictions. For example, he starts doing predictions about 2009, which of course already happened, but he starts like explaining and talking about CDs and DVDs, and he starts explaining that all of these like physical material will eventually be replaced with like their virtual version of it, which did happen. Like I don't know if this happened in 2009, but I remember when I was a child or when I was a kid, that I have like my music CDs or like movies and DVDs and stuff. And right now I don't own any of this material. Maybe my parents do, but we now all have like the digital versions of it. It's just like things have changed. For example, Blockbuster is a perfect example of that. Like all of this physical material will eventually replace with virtual versions of it, which is crazy now that I think about it. But it just like it's part of evolution. He also starts like explaining, for example, like wireless technology, which now is really common. For example, like we now have like a lot of wireless technology that we don't fully like think about because we are so used to it. And I don't know if this happened like in 2009, but it definitely happened because now it's just so common that we are so used to this kind of technology. He also explains like, for example, like laptops. He starts like explaining like how computers will eventually be capable to be transported from one place to another, which of course we have right now. He also does some other predictions, for example, regarding the year 2019, in which he starts talking about virtual reality, for example, which to me was really crazy and shocking because even when I was like younger and I like first heard about virtual reality, I thought like that was like really advanced technology. Like I really couldn't like like it was really shocking for me. And now we have this like in every campus. For example, you can go to the library and just use like one of these virtual reality stuff that you put in your head and you can be transported to a different place. And all of these have changed the way we do stuff, and even the way we learn stuff. And it's really crazy now that he also starts like talking, for example, about like autonomous conduction, which for example Tesla is like a perfect example of how cars are driving by themselves, which it's something that is not accessible for everyone right now, but it's something that is happening, and maybe in the future this will start to become more and more accessible, because he also starts explaining that, for example, that technology will have like a reduction in their prices. um, Again, I don't know if this happened, like I'm not like a technological person kind of person, but it makes sense, because in the future maybe this will be more and more common, that will eventually be cheaper, and maybe that also happened in the past few years and stuff. For example, in 2029, which to me is kind of exciting, because this hasn't happened yet. He starts like doing some predictions. For example, having this virtual reality, but into your eye, like instead of putting something into your head and stuff, you will be able to be like transported with this virtual reality that comes directly from your eye with all of this technology. He also, for example, talks about disabled people, and he explains that in the future, all of these disabilities will not longer exist, because there will be like technological advances that can replace or like help into these disabilities, which in a way this could be like, for example, genetic engineering. You can like help people into not having like certain illnesses or stuff, since with a lot of time before this happening. So I think this is really cool. I also think this can be in a way dangerous, and I also think this is something very important from the book, because even though he does mention in the book that this may be like like he starts referring to all of these technological advances as something positive, which and even though he does refer to them as they could probably be used in a bad way, um, I think it's just like really ethical thing, all of these technological advances, because we having all of this technology in the wrong hands can eventually, you can have a lot of things, especially with all of the things that we have been talking about in classes, all of this. There's a lot of people that don't really care about people. They only care about money and about themselves. So that's definitely like a problem. And, we have a lot of social problems right now that I don't think that. I hope this is like a good idea, but and I also really do hope that this does not change into something bad into the future, because for example here he also explains like in 2099, I think people will be people like will be in a way divided. There will be people that already have like technological advances in their body that are not going to be like humans anymore, and there will also be people that are going to be still like normal humans and stuff, and society is going to be divided, and all of this can be related into like all of these social problems. And we still have like money and stuff. There's like a lot of people that are rich, and they are starting to become richer and richer, in expense of people become like poor people, which is the majority of people in the world right now, becoming poorer and poorer because of these people. So this is really, I think this is like kind of complex and complicated. And he starts talking that, for example, machines will eventually replace humans. Like machines will be even more intelligent as a human. Like he does give a lot of information about this, but as I said, I don't fully understand it. But what I learned from this is that, for example, artificial intelligence will be able, according to this author, will be able to create more artificial intelligence. So it's kind of crazy, because, for example, we humans are going to be able to develop all of this technology, and eventually this technology is going to be as smart as a human, or even more smart as a human. So it's kind of crazy for me to understand this, because how will like the machine that was made by humans is going to be more intelligence that its own creator, and that it's going to be able to create and do even more technology and more artificial intelligence that will eventually replace the artificial intelligence before that and stuff. So it's kind of crazy because it also talks about, like, for example, how technology will have like this evolution process, like as big as far that technology will eventually have like their own feelings, and like humans will be replicated in the future, and we will be like cyborgs and stuff like that. Or also, like, for example, like your brain and stuff could be like in a way replace, like you can replace your body and you can like transport it into like another artificial body, for example. Which I don't know if this can happen. Like, I've seen this in movies and stuff like that, but I don't know if this can eventually happen. With genetic engineering, I kind of feel like this could happen, but I guess this is kind of difficult. I guess this could eventually happen in the future. I don't know that this is going to happen right now, but in the future, this may happen. I don't know. And for example, I don't know. I feel like all of these future predictions, as I said, are more of a fictional thing. Not because I'm like a really smart person in technology, but because they are just like so far away in the future that I'm not going to be probably able to see that or be witness of these technological advances that I can't even imagine. I can't understand how this could be for example, elder people, like for example my grandparents and stuff, in which they grew in, during their life, they, like they have all of this like technological process and evolution that it's just so crazy right now. I was born into more of a advanced technology world, and like the people that will be born in the future will be surrounded by even more um intelligent technology and stuff. So it's really crazy for me to even think about technology that will happen, that I may not be able to think right now that they can actually happen. So as I said, this is all really crazy because this was written in 1999, and I'm kind of still shocked that he was able to do that, that he was able to imagine all of these predictions into the future. He talks about, for example, virtual reality. And right now, we have like all of these metaverse and all of this, virtual stuff that we are in class starting to see. Even, for example, Bitcoin, that in a way is going to replace like all the economic, in all of the, like the actual economy that we have right now, in order to do like a foundation of a new economy and stuff, based on a virtual coin currency. In my past video, I talked about the metaverse because I read an article that was about Bitcoin and construction, or no, I think it was more about blockchain and construction. And I said that it was really crazy for me to read it because, I'm having like these architecture classes in which I'm learning like all of this process and stuff. And in order for me to read that and to imagine that in the future, all of the things that I'm learning will be eventually replaced with like with the virtual version of all of this knowledge, it's really crazy how right now, in the way we are like in the future, like I don't know, it's just really weird. I don't know if I'm personally ready for that because, I feel like a lot of things will eventually change, and, like the lifestyle what we humans know right now will be replaced with all of these artificial things and stuff. Or, for example, I don't know, here in the book he explains that, for example, you will be. There will not be humans anymore, like we are not going to be like humans anytime longer, because we will be like a kind of like a combination with technology and organic material and stuff, and probably like what are humans going to be into like years ahead in the future, and or maybe instead of having like this physical world, it could be like for example the Matrix, which is like a virtual universe in which physical stuff is not going to exist anymore, and we are going to all live in this virtual reality, which can be eventually the metaverse or things like that. So I don't know. This is kind of scary. It's kind of futuristic. I'm like, I don't know what to think about it. I feel like we should all start like adapting to this new world. Um, Me as an architect, I feel like I definitely need to start like adapting into all of this virtual reality, because even my teachers, some of my teachers start explaining like, there are already architects that are constructing into this virtual reality, which in a way I'm not completely okay with it. I feel like this virtual reality is just part, it's in a way it's capitalism, because they are starting to do the same as they did with public areas, in which they are starting to become private. Because of that, you do have like these social divisions and stuff like that. And this may happen in like in the virtual reality, which for example, internet was like a public space, and now they're starting to make it like a private space, and they're starting to selling this to people that are economical able to buy this, and a lot of people are not. So, as I said before, this is really complex. I feel like a lot of things can happen from here into the future, but in a way, I'm excited for a lot of technological advances, especially into health advances, things that can actually help humanity and stuff like that. But I guess we should all just like wait and see. Here he explains that as the years come through, like technology will be like inevitable. So, we will have like these exponential technological advances as the years come by. So we should just like, in a way, start like, like we should wait and start to adapt into this new technological world, and, just like become part of it. So I think this is gonna be everything for this video. I'm sorry that I did it like a little bit longer than expected, but I needed to more than like do like a summary about the book. I needed to do like this reflection into the things that I read. So I think this is gonna be the end for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you into next video. So thank you and goodbye.